So I think out of all the songs, the creation process of Hourglass might be one of my favorites, if not my favorite for this album. I think it's probably just because of how close it was for me and Ricky, and how like connected we were with just each other in the song and the history of where the parts came from. This is just a Ricky and I song together. I think it's probably the best example since Fatal of a Ricky and Chris track, and I think it's some of our best work, just the two of us, and I think you can actually really hear that in the song. It has, although it's completely different than Fatal, you can still feel the same presence of just you and I and the music that we love, where we're coming from, where we're going. I don't know, I just feel like you can really hear the true like Ricky and Chris together nature of the song. When you listen to it, it has that special feel. As far as I can remember, Hourglass is the first song to be started on the new album. I remember that we sat down to begin working on it in January of 2016, but the very beginning was back in, I think, I checked the file, it says May of 2015. You sent me a file of you were just free writing some music, and I heard this chorus that you sent over, and I heard this melody like instantly, and I remember recording it in like a voice memo and sending it back to you, and you were just like, or I was like, can you change one note? And you sent it back, and I recorded this vocal melody, and I sent it back, and I think in like 5 minutes we were just like, okay, we got the first chorus of the new album. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
that was cool. I remember sending it, like you said. I remember sending you that file, and then you were like, holy shit, I have this chorus idea, hold on, pretty much. And then within 10 minutes, you had a chorus melody for it, and we were like, whoa, shit, we already have a chorus for the new album.
Yeah, it was in 2015, in May of 2015. Yeah. That's why I think it's so cool. Like we indirectly started working on Graveyard Shift all the way back then, and I remember just holding on to that chorus and being like, nope, it's got to be used. It was just something like that happens so perfectly, like in that short of a time. I always hold on to those moments because I think that's where, like, when you could have that happen so easily and just be that stoked about a part, I think that you need to hold on to those special parts because they mean something, and you shouldn't just kind of overlook them, and they were special for some reason at that time. So shortly after that chorus situation happened, Ricky sent me this like really bouncy groove type of riff that then became the intro of the song. I remember hearing it and keeping it in the riff bank like everything else, and thinking that someday I'd probably come back to it and see if we could use it. And I think when we started working on how to make that chorus melody worked into like making a song, I came back to that bouncy riff that you had, that and just being like, oh, well, that I just remember taking the audio thing that you had sent for that bouncy riff and then the audio from my voice memo and just putting them together in my computer, and it was so terribly matched because it was like totally different sound clips, but I was able to tell that they were going to work together, which was really cool because you created them at two separate times. And I think it's even cooler that in addition to those two things I just mentioned, I don't know if you'll remember this, but we were sound checking. I want to say it was like in Albuquerque or something like that. I just remember being on stage sound checking, and it was in 2014. And you were just sitting on a riser playing like some completely random riff. You probably don't remember because you do that a lot.
No, I do remember that.
I think I tried to do it to you on the most recent Graveyard Shift tour. I was like, what were you just playing?
Yeah.
Play it again.
I couldn't remember.
Yeah, and you couldn't remember. I was like, no. Yeah, so you were just playing some completely random riff. And I was talking to some of the other guys, and I heard it and just stopped and like went right over to you and pulled out my phone. And I was like, can you play that again? And I recorded it in my voice memos, and that guitar riff that you were playing in 2014 during soundcheck became the keyboard lead that's over the bouncy riff that you wrote a year later, that then coupled with the chorus that you'd written a few months before. It's just so fucking cool how that works. Like, it's like, I guess me and you were like always working on stuff for the band, whether we know it or not, or we're always just finding a way to make things work because it was cool at one time, so you don't want to let it go.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's cool to like look back to that and see how it all came together. Do you remember the riff situation, or do you have anything else that you remember about the song or to talk about the song?
I think the thing that I remember the most is just that initial riff and then the chorus situation. I remember us trying to work on some of it, and we couldn't figure out where to go, and I think we just we were like, well, we'll just figure this out later.
Yeah.
Because for some reason when we get stuck, we're just like, we'll figure it out later.
We usually just get really frustrated and then part ways and come back 2 days later and somehow the song gets done. Yeah. I remember working on the verses for this one, and I like that when you listen to the song, you can kind of hear that it has the active radio feel to it like a lot of the songs do, but in the verses you can absolutely hear like a Darkest Hour influence. Like we kept the verses really riffy and really like It Dies Today, Darkest Hour style, because that's where we're coming from. Like what we do in a lot of our songs, we include the full range of the sounds that we're influenced by over all these years, and I think another reason why this one is really cool. It's much like Eternally Yours, where it has like the newer sound and the older roots of the band all together. I love that we kept it riffy. I remember trying to do the bridge. You and Ryan were in the room, and I was trying to like make the bridge even more like that, and we were just like, it's too much. It just doesn't. It feels like it's being forced. And I remember you and Ryan. I did something. There was like this super chuggy part that's at the very end of the song. It's like and you guys hated that, and I was trying to put it in the beginning of the song with the riff, and you guys were like, nope, and then I did it in the studio later again at the end of the song. I was like, they're gonna fucking kill me. But I don't even know if you noticed or remembered at that point.
I remembered. I was like, you son of a bitch. No, but I think that it flows great. I think that the end is a great spot for that part.
Yeah, I think I did it because I knew what I wanted the vocals to be, so it went with the fear is not my. It just felt so much heavier to end the song that way. But I do remember in the studio adding it, and I was just like, oh no, they're gonna fucking kill me. But in addition to the music, I think this might be the only song on the album I think that you have lyrics for.
Yep.
Yeah, you wrote lyrics for this song too. Do you remember anything about that?
I just remember you being like, here's the general idea of what I want the song to be, and then I was just kind of going off of like, okay, what words do I, or what poetic nice things can I say that associate with these words? And it was just pretty much just a list of just stanza after stanza of just free verse, and some of it ended up being used and some of it didn't, because some of it was really bad and some of it is arguably still bad, but got used.
I think
I'm no lyricist. Chris is the lyricist.
No.
I just hang out.
No, Ricky's had some great lyrics happen on a lot of the songs before. I think there's a few really great ones in this one that if the future so bright, the path should glow. I love that. I love the I'm letting quicksand take me thing. You came up with that, and it just speaks more to the song being extra special by the fact that you have lyrics in it, and that it was just a strictly you and I song musically. It just felt like some of the other songs on previous albums where we've done the same thing that always end up being some of the most special songs.
Yeah.
I think to offer any more as to what the lyrics of the song mean, I think it's fairly obvious about the constant theme of time that we've been writing about since the first album. However, this one is more centered around a shattering uncertainty of the future rather than being stuck in the past like Cobwebs and Burned at Both Ends were about. Break the Cycle was the song that was supposed to represent the ending and focusing on the past, the ending of focusing on the past and just focusing on the present and working towards the future as much as possible. But then I experienced one of the gnarliest events in my life that I wasn't ready for, and it just completely altered my concept of time and life in so many ways that I just became paranoid and stressed out about the future and wanted to write about it for a song. And it's cool that it's different than the other previous three. In August of 2016, I just got back from Warped Tour, back to LA, and started working on the album. I think we were like 2 weeks in, and my sister called me and said that my dad had a heart attack, and it was like the first experience with that kind of thing in my life, and it just, I don't know, it just really altered my perception of time and life and everything, and it put me in this position to question myself and find out what was the most important to me in my life and what I really wanted out of life, and confronting the reality that everything can end so quickly. And I don't know, I just really needed to write a song about that, like I said, that shattering uncertainty of the future. And I think one of the favorite lines I have from the song is, "It's too late to feel I've lost my breath with the hands of time around my neck." And I was actually working on this song lyrically one night, and I was just really stressing out about it because I had ideas and Ricky had sent over ideas, but it like wasn't coming together the way that I wanted to. And Gaia was at the apartment with me and was just trying to help and going back and forth with me, bouncing ideas, just free talking about the song. And she actually came up with that line, and I thought it was awesome to look at time as a physical entity and feeling strangled by it, similar to kind of what I was talking about with Necessary Evil, where life materialized into a physical entity. And I guess it's cool to have two different types of things in life that we gave that kind of character to, and get to speak about them in a different way than ever before. I really do like the lines, "Am I more than the pen that wrote the past, or am I just the sand enslaved by the hourglass?" I think that really speaks to questioning of your life and the decisions that you've made and your regrets. And I also love "Fear is not my fate" as well, because I really like that the song ends on a more hopeful, uplifting note after all the sorrow and feelings of being lost in the body of the lyrics. So, yeah, I think that's all I have left to say about Hourglass.